welcome back for a special bonus episode dropping in between seasons. Uh, you guys all voted in the stories about things that you wanted, what topics you wanted to hear more of, and I called it out in one of the last episodes of the season where like lifestyle stuff and like spicy topics, things like that, you want to hear more of, but you were all afraid to comment about it. So here's one of those episodes, and we're going to talk about a lifestyle issue that honestly kind of transcends the lifestyle and is kind of like plagued all the way around. But getting into it, a lot has been made of events post COVID, prices being too high, all those kinds of things across the board. Just like everything is expensive, but when it comes to going to a party or going to an event, it's it's kind of like getting priced out, and it's like, oh, I don't know that I can afford to go to this party or that party. And it's been especially noticeable in the lifestyle. Yes, the lifestyle. Today we have a topic on lifestyle culture and specifically how single men are singled out. And I got a guest here who's going to talk about what exactly that means. What's up?
What's up? Hi. I love
Thank you for
that.
being
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
like I said, it's one of those things where uh, it's always been kind of a thing across the board, and I don't know why it isn't talked about more or why it's seemingly acceptable
hmm
across the board. But
hmm
I'm glad that you're here to talk about it. So, we're going to talk about the pricing and things like that. So first, I just want to flat out ask you, why do you think event prices are higher for single guys? Is it, like the nightclub thing where it's like, oh, we have a ladies' night to pack ladies in because it's going to be, a financial gain if there's more women than there is guys
hmm
because guys are going to try and come to be there, so it's going to be packed. Do you think it's that same like equation for nightclubs, or do you think it's
Yeah.
something different?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's definitely it's what I've seen as far as the clubs that I've gone to is one, there's either no single men allowed, or two, it's so ridiculously priced. It's like what single men can afford to come for this event. Like it doesn't balance out. So one club in particular that we go to does not even allow single men at all. So let's
Oh
say if
wow.
we had a third, like, hey, it's gonna be me, my spouse, and my third that I see occasionally, but we're um, he's still a single person. Like he's not married, he's
Yeah.
not coupled. I can't necessarily invite him to even come to that club space because one, they don't even have a price for three. Like if you're a throuple or if
Yeah.
you're a poly. So it's like, okay, there's no prices for three, but there's no price for him to get in. So it for that space, it's not as inclusive. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? For people that aren't just a one like traditional monogamous
Yeah.
bystander type couple. So that's a little annoying. So we don't really go to that one. And then the other one that has single males allowed, it is, of course, free for women before nine
Hmm.
o'clock.
Yep.
Because they try to get as many women as possible. And then they have the couple's price, and then the men's price is double that of a couple price.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it really deters single men away, except for ones that are either not local to the area or even the state. The single men that I did manage to encounter and talk there, they were even from the state. They were just visiting, they were here on business, they heard of it from the sites, from the different swinger sites, and they were just coming literally just to visit. So if even if we did connect that night, it would literally
Yeah.
have just been a one night stand, and
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have seen them again until another work
Yeah.
meeting or something that would bring them back to the area. So that's pretty frustrating itself. So it almost seems like if it's local people in the lifestyle, unless it's Las Vegas or something like
Hmm.
that, realistically, no single man really wants to pay double of what a couple price is to to necessarily get
Yeah.
in when they can go to just a regular club and pay $50 for single men and possibly
Yeah.
have the same outcomes, because sometimes
Yeah.
there really is only dancing that night. No one's really engaging or really swapping numbers, and it really
Yeah.
becomes just a nightclub feel to
Yeah.
it.
I didn't think
So
about that. That's it, like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
If you go in as a single guy and you pay this ridiculous price, and then you don't end up meeting anybody, not because of any one reason or the other, and
Hmm.
that you just could have wasted a ton of money. I did a little bit of research before jumping onto this interview, and like an average is about $45 for a couple, $15 to $20 if there's a charge for a single woman, and then 100 plus for a single man
Hmm.
in most cases. And like a lot of like bigger events that I could find would be like uh even cheaper for couples, where it's like maybe $20, $25, like
Yeah.
$5 for women if there's a charge
Hmm.
at all. And at that point, if it's $5, why charge them at all? Like whatever.
Right.
And then the single men, it was like 200, 250, almost
Hmm.
$300 for some of these things. And it becomes, like you said, like it kind of prices them out. And
Hmm.
I don't know. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, what's the worst price discrepancy you've seen, and did it make a difference at that event? Like, did you notice like a higher quality guy there because there was a price discrepancy?
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really, which is so interesting. So one that we did go to that had single guys allowed. Uh, like I said, it was mostly travelers. So I'm not
Mhm.
one to really just meet up with a traveler. I would like somebody, you know, that I could actually have. Okay, we can meet up again. We can actually go have a happy hour or something like that. Um, so yes, it is ridiculous. One that I was looking at recently, well, actually today, because I was like, okay, I want to look at like New Year's plans and things like that.
Mhm.
Let's do it. I want to do it. Um, so this one that I found in the area, so hopefully it's local people. They have prices for it's so it's over a 3 day, because it's just the way they're calling it hotel takeover 3 days. So you could pay for either
Mhm.
all 3 days, just because it falls like weekend,
Yeah.
um, or you could just do the one night masquerade for New Year's, and then you go home and all that stuff. So it was so ridiculous. They had the single woman price, which was, for the 3 day weekend, was like $100 for the full 3 days for single women. Couples, it was like 500 for the whole. And this
Yeah.
is a hotel takeover,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a lock-in. They'll have breakfast and all that stuff, like a hotel. And then the single man for the 3 day lock-in was like 1,500. It was like
Oh wow.
ridiculous
Yeah.
for a single man. So I'm like, okay, if I'm a single man, I better, if I'm paying that much, which could be like a mortgage payment, a car
Yeah.
payment at
Yeah.
that price, I
Right.
better be like going home with like 50 women if I'm paying that
Yeah.
much. So it's just like, it's definitely out of the price range of someone who is just like, trying to explore this lifestyle. I mean, I feel like that's weeding out a lot of maybe younger crowd. Like anyone between
Yeah.
the ages of 20, 25 is not making that,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
alone to put that in for a full weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe older retirees, single men, that is possibly, a divorcee, or um, his wife passed away or something. Now he's single.
Yeah.
But even with that category, it's like, okay, then you have the older crowd.
Yeah.
Does
So
he really
that
want to
skews it.
spend
Yeah,
that
that
much?
skews the demographic a little
Uh
bit.
huh. It really does, in my opinion. So I just feel like, if that's really weeding out, uh, uh, um, that kind of prime age of 30, 40-year-old single guys who may have, well, if they have child support, if they have lots of other stuff that they have to financially be obligated to do, I just think that's ridiculously asking for, like, this isn't, a cruise lifestyle. This isn't
Yeah.
exotica. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a destination place that I'm thinking of for, what I mean, for like, oh, a big lifestyle type event. in my
Yeah.
opinion. This is not the Bellagio that we're staying at or something super fancy.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, I've seen a couple people posting for, New Year's parties, different parts. Like I've seen one in Chicago, I've seen one in Atlanta, and then their prices are much lower, like for their, night parties or themed parties, Because there's Halloween parties, things like that. Those were a little bit more reasonable for single guys. So I'm thinking it may be like location
Yeah.
regionally may skew prices as well. The ones in Chicago that I saw were like okay, like $100 before. It was like $100 after 9 p.m., which is like
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
How are you putting
Yeah.
a time for time? Like whatever. But then the ones in Atlanta, those were like $15, $20 single men and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's probably getting those younger guys curious
Yeah.
about the lifestyle. Okay, I can afford this. This won't break my bank. Will it potentially become a sausage fest? I don't think so if they're saying ladies are free all night. So it's kind of interesting regionally prices and then just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one of my questions. You just kind of touched on it, so I'm gonna skip a question, and I'll ask you this one. Um, but do you think that there should be some sort of like uh the price is the same as for a couple or for a single, but they're more selective on the entry, or there's like a vetting process where like you have to do a Zoom meeting or some sort of like meet and greet before you can actually be approved to come in? Do you think that that's a better way to do it rather than
Right,
pricing them completely out of the building?
right, exactly. Yes, 100% agree, 100% that there should definitely be some type of vetting before. Like maybe not even necessarily a Zooming, but I've seen like Google forms, like,
Hmm.
hey, fill out this Google form. And then the questions on there just like, how long have you been in the lifestyle? Are you coupled? Are you divorced? Are you separated? Those questions. And then, but one thing I didn't see that I think should definitely be on those type of just larger scale events is like, have you been tested? When was the last time you've been
Yeah.
tested? You know, what is your protocols? Because although they have stuff for the venue, like, don't trash the place, things like that, they don't
Hmm.
really, some of the forms don't talk about like you health wise personally. Is there anything we need to know about you, you know,
Yeah.
health wise, or even just anything like that? Like,
Yeah, that's a really good point because I mean, essentially, people are your commodity in that situation. So, like, whether you want to consider it commercialized or not, the whole point is you're selling an experience and the people are the experience.
mm-hmm,
So, it's like if you were selling food, you would want to make sure that your food wasn't tainted before you just
right,
invite a bunch of people over to eat. And
mm-hmm,
if you're inviting a bunch of people over to eat and the dish is women, but nobody has been tested,
right,
that
exactly,
doesn't necessarily help you. So even if it is single guys or single, like that's a good point. I
yeah,
wouldn't have thought about, you know, making it multi-layered in that way.
yes.
And
Yeah.
that's why,
Sorry. If you've ever listened to Front Porch Swingers, the hosts of that podcast, they live in Las Vegas and things like that. So, of course, there's a lot more places where you can go get tested pretty freely out there. But they require, like at their events, they do takeovers in Denver, like lots of areas that they host. But like you have to have a most recent one within like the last month or two, I believe. Like it's
oh
not
wow,
like, oh, I took this 6 months ago or 8 months ago. It's like, no, like, where's your most recent test? And yeah, because it's like, you're hosting this, like, do you know that someone, has AIDS
yeah,
that you allowed in? And, that's just
yeah,
making a whole pool of mess. So
yeah,
that too, I think if people are hosting events, like, what is your vetting process? And, we've been to club spaces where they just make sure that, you're on one of the sites, like you've been registered, and okay,
hmm,
that's your vetting. Like, all right, you're registered on this lifestyle site, so you're good. Okay. So we always have our own protection and things like that because,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
okay.
that's an interesting concept in itself. Is if instead of pricing single guys out, maybe make it part of the like, hey, if you pay whatever the price is, basically you could pay for a testing kit, or you get
Right.
a
Mm-hmm.
you pay for you show us your most recent within 30 days, and you get a discount on whatever that entry fee was, to try and skew to a
Right.
healthier event, as opposed to, which like I said, that's a layer of it I didn't think about. And when it comes to planning events, that's definitely
Yeah.
part of what should go into event planning. Is
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if you go to um like super high end events, they might have some sort of like, you must be tested within 30 days before you could,
Mm-hmm.
but those are probably upwards of like $2,000 events
Yeah.
just to go to. So like at some point
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a break even. I get that. But I'm
Yeah.
also super curious, and I just want to know, like, what grinds your gears so much about this thing? Like, why was this the topic that like stuck out to you?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because it's super frustrating. It is really frustrating. I mean, I want to say I'm a total cougar, but I'm a little bit older, but I'm okay with younger guys. Like, I enjoy younger guys because it's like, oh, I could show them things and I could teach them some things. I kind of
Yeah.
have that, like, get in your place, little boy. I kind of
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that, like, mommy dom side a bit. But then when I go to these spaces and it's like, there is no one under 45 here. Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? It kind of makes it feel like, okay, this is not very age inclusive. There
Yeah.
isn't, yeah, there may be the younger girls that are here because they're free. So, yeah, you have these younger girls, which is great for them and, great for these older guys that want these younger girls. But where's the younger guys for us more experienced ladies,
Hmm.
where I'm not seeing that a whole lot, which makes it be kind of think long term, where's this lifestyle going to be if, guys at a younger age aren't necessarily exposed to it. So I just think that event planners should definitely take that into consideration because not everybody gets into the lifestyle married. There's
Yeah.
lots of single guys that stay single but still want to participate in the lifestyle, but they just know, being coupled, being married, or anything is just not for them. So that's putting a barrier on them of ever even participating in the lifestyle space. If they are a stag or, the bull,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, well, our bull's not allowed here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's an interesting, just in itself, knowing that like it does probably exclude younger guys who don't wouldn't necessarily have the like $200 to drop for an evening,
Mm-hmm.
and it creates the dynamic where our events harder to find because people aren't going to them in favor of a like a house party or something like that, where that like bound
Right.
or that barrier isn't in place. But then it
Mm-hmm.
also adds the like the navigation that you can get from being immersed in the community and being able to go to those events, even if nothing happens, just being able to talk to somebody that like maybe can give you like a little bit of advice, or at least the lay of the land at this event, and tell you, well, if you go over there, these people that hang out on that side of the room usually are these people, and those people over there, they're all going to stay in their little corner, they don't ever come out, the games are in here, so if you hang out in here, you might get some people that want to talk, but you also might get some people that are just like looking to hide out until their people should like
Yep. Mm-hmm.
getting those kinds of people at parties, just regular parties, regular events, where it's kind of like a high school cafeteria when you walk in,
It
knowing
is.
that they have to fight through the barrier of like price, prohibited entry, and then they got to figure out, okay, who can I talk to, who can I not, I came by myself in general, so like I want to be social, but I also don't know
It
the
is.
the landscape. And now you're putting those people into a situation where like they don't necessarily have like in-person contact. They
Yeah.
might be able to, create a community, but it's not going to be the same as, actually being able to experience an event in person. And like you were talking about hotel takeovers and things like that. And I would imagine that like a hotel takeover, part of the fun of that is the like, I don't have to go home. I'm
Hmm.
already where I'm at. So the age demographic and being able to stay up later or being able to do things that like would normally keep you, as not you particularly, but older
Yes, yes,
people, from being out till midnight. And that's when the young people would show up to just to start.
right. Hmm.
That creates an environment where the young people are already there, and everybody's where they are, and you can stay up a little bit later, or you can go, a little
Yeah,
bit wilder because you don't have to drive home.
right.
But then to
Hmm.
to to price them out of even being there is kind of silly. I don't know. It
Yeah,
just doesn't
it
seem like
really is.
it's
Yeah,
very helpful.
yeah, no, it really is. And the one spot we go to where you can sense like, okay, they allow single guys there and stuff. Um, a lot of times they're just almost like a fly on the wall because it is like a high school cafeteria. It gets very clicky. Then you see, okay, this crowd knows each other. You know, they don't let anybody inside their bubble and stuff like that. So I try to approach them like, hey, hi, it's nice seeing you. Like, is this your first time here? Kind of like
Hmm.
the welcome committee, I guess, the high school.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of am. Because yeah, it can be really awkward, especially if you don't know how to navigate. Okay, how do I approach this woman? Is she married? Is she here, in a poly situation? Who is she?
Yeah.
One thing that I did like, unfortunately the club closed, they're not there anymore, but one thing that I did like that this one club did was they had bracelet colors of
Yeah.
whatever status you were. So it's like if you were like first time there, it was a color. If you were a single male, it was another color. Like single male open to play, was one color. If you were a couple but you were looking for a single male, you had a color. So it was a really great concept. By the end of the night, everyone's drunk, so you kind of forget what the
Yeah.
colors
Yeah.
mean. You're just like,
Yeah.
I want you. If you're attracted to them, you're attracted to them. But I thought that was a great concept. Especially that would be especially helpful for like a 3 day long type
Yeah.
hotel. You would be like, oh, okay, I know this person, or I've seen them a couple times. Let's go approach them. So,
Yeah. That segues perfectly into my next question for you. How would you approach, like, if you were setting up an event and it was going to be, whatever event style you wanted it to be, whether it's a hotel takeover, whether it's, just like an event space that looks exactly how you want it to look, it's set up exactly how you want it to be set up. How would you approach pricing that event?
oh wow, great question. Yeah, I would feel like it would be one price for everyone because I don't necessarily care if you're married, if you're single woman, single man, if you are poly, if you have 5 people in your relationship. I don't care. It should be one price for all of you as long as you are tested, as long as you are, vetted that you're not like a serial killer or, have felonies and warrants out for your arrest or anything crazy like that. Um, but yeah, it would be one price and then it would change like after 1 a.m. So everyone would
Yeah.
be one price. And then because 1 a.m. is, well, our area, 1 a.m. is usually when clubs close downtown and things like that. So if people are like, okay, we did our dancing and stuff like that, and now we want to go to the after party clubs, it would be a different price at 1 a.m. So that's the way I would do it. So then
Yeah.
those people who are older who get there at 8 p.m. when the event actually starts and they're like, okay, we're done. We don't want to be here anymore. Those are kind of the ones that leave at like 11 midnight, the,
Mhm.
older crowd. And they leave and they go home or they go with their friends that they met and go have fun. And then at that time it's a little bit younger crowd and the people looking to explore and, have some fun. Um, that demographic could come in, with ease and comfort and not feel like, okay, am I going to have to pay $1,000? They know that's that
Yeah.
price and,
Yeah.
come have
I
fun.
like that. That sounds like trying to be inclusive, but also trying to be understanding of like the different situations. And like I just had to drop
Mhm.
my daughter off at IHOP after she did a school function, and it was I think it was like 11 o'clock when we dropped her off,
Mhm.
and she was like talking about staying for 2 hours, and I was like, look, IHOP at 11 o'clock and IHOP at 1 o'clock are two completely different IHOPs. You are not staying there past past 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll come get you at like
It is.
12:30, because that's when IHOP becomes
Mhm.
a whole different thing on a Friday night. So
Yeah, it
it's
does.
like no,
It
yeah.
does.
So that makes sense. I like that. It's a good caveat that again I wouldn't have thought of, and that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation with somebody such as yourself that has you know the feelings that you do and are willing to share them, because a lot of people would be like, I have an opinion about this but I don't want to share it because it's going to sound like
Mhm.
I'm bagging on everything. But
Yeah.
with that
Mhm.
same kind of thing, have you been to house parties or less like commercialized events where they do have like a more equalized entry? So like, did it create an environment where there was more fun, there was more younger
Mhm.
people, or was it just like a this is a shit show?
Great point. Great point. Yes, I have been to house parties, and it's very um, interesting because I think it's the area where we live. It was a lot of a little bit more retiree, older people, but they have the space. They have the
Mm-hmm.
bigger houses and the fully furnished basements with all the stuff. So they're, in a different age and different space in their life where they can host and have a little bit freely. But there was no type of vetting there. It was just
Yeah.
come. Oh, you're on the site. Come on over, and just have fun. And one thing I didn't really like was it became clicky a bit. But as far as like the safety and things like that, it was just everyone was just raw, like doing everything. I'm like, I'm not totally comfortable with that because I'm not on birth control and things like that. Just because hormones, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, whenever I was like, okay, we'll put a condom on, they're like, I don't do condoms. And it's like, okay, well, listen
Ooh,
here,
yeah.
Grandpa.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure you don't want to have a baby at your age either.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the house parties are fun, but it's just, yeah, knowing the people that you're going with. I haven't really been to a house party with more people my age. I think because the stage we're in, a lot of them still have kids and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, so it's a little bit harder. So with them, we just do a lot of just one-on-one meetups. They don't really host a whole party.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's two couples, three couples, and we're having a game night.
Yeah.
So,
I I like that. Yeah, like I said, that's kind of what I assumed your answer would be. Um, so we're coming to the end of this. Like I said, these are going to be short format episodes for all of you who are twitchy and kind of find these subjects hard to digest. So I wanted to make them pretty short and easy to listen to, so you could get back to doing whatever you're doing, and like maybe unclutch the pearls, as my co-host would say, or vent out some of that steam. But we've talked about your least favorite thing about the lifestyle, and I couldn't end this episode without asking you, what's been your favorite part or like the highlight of the lifestyle for you?
mm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Just being treated like a queen. I mean, I love that. I don't know what woman doesn't like that, but
Yeah.
just being able to be, immortalized. Like I walk into the room and it's like, okay, all eyes are on me. Like I love that feeling. And just being able to kind of like, yeah, have my picks and things like that. Being able to meet new people and, um, just I just find people really interesting, and I love just hearing people's experiences. Whether it's their first time at a club or they've been doing this since the '70s. Like I love hearing people's experiences as far as the lifestyle,
Yeah.
and yeah, and there's just a whole range of people. So I love that the most. Like bucket list. I really want to do a lifestyle cruise. Like, I still want to do that. Maybe when the kids are a little bit older and send them out to grandparents and just have,
Yeah.
a lot of fun at sea. I think that would be really great. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for, dropping some knowledge on us. Uh, I think that the topics that we're going to talk about in these mini episodes kind of fall in line with, a little bit of positives, a little bit of negatives. So the whole point of Home's Room and what we do is education on a different way of life that you might not have thought about or known about, to make you less afraid of it, or uh less glamorized about a thing, so you go into any situation with a clear mind about it, clear eyes about it, not, a fantasized version of it. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime. Anytime. I'd be happy to chat more about it.